Welcome to Unruly 3, father of 3 unruly kids.
I'm not Ruly.
It's a Firebolt. It's the fastest broom in the world.
Alright, so first thing I had to do was start putting these runes up on the top. So I used my CNC, my Carve Right machine, to start putting these runes on the top of this. Then I'm going to fill these runes with some epoxy. And so I just found these off the internet. Another guy had made a Firebolt, and I'm pretty sure that these are I found his examples. Here, I'm mixing off to the side. Bet you can't see it too well. So here I'm just pouring the epoxy over the top. And then I'm going to use a toothpick to move it around, get it into all the places that didn't have any on it. Then just take this squeegee and just kind of squeegee off the edges. Then I'm going to go back through with my toothpick. This kind of gets rid of the bigger bubbles that are in it and kind of helps pop them. Gets it in onto the recesses where the epoxy hadn't gotten before. Then a couple of them had too much of it taken out, so I'm just going to add a little bit of epoxy back to them, squeegee those out again. Then after I go over this with the heater, it will pop all my bubbles. So now I'm just kind of getting an idea about how big this is going to be. So I'm going to cut off the excess. Now I follow my line on my table saw until here, and then I want to shut it off. I'm going to pull it off. Now this is going to help me get some nice straight lines on here. Then I flip it around. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And stop. Turn off the table saw and then pull it out. Then cut the rest of it with the bandsaw to try to get my shape down. And then I go ahead and take it over to a lot of sand in. This sander worked really good on getting these angles right, but after a lot of sanding I could get all this down, but this sander did a lot. I cut a lot of this out because it's just a lot. So here was kind of the idea. This Firebolt has this really weird shape. It looks to me like it was hit by, in my mind it was hit by like a lightning bolt or something. So the top part of the broom looks like it was totally fine, but the bottom seems to have some kind of burning or something done to it. So I'm just kind of putting this on here where I think this was. And then I'm taking my router and being careful to hold it flat on the top part, and I am routering away the bottom where this other burning section was supposed to be, trying to leave the top in its top totally fine. Then I'm taking I flipped it over and I'm trying to make some designs with the router, and I just kind of go back and forth, making some swirls, making all kinds of different ones, different shapes. Sometimes I'd make it go deeper. Sometimes I would make it not as deep. And just trying to get some different shape and design going here. Then I turned it on its side and I did the same thing, kind of taking it all the way around. And flip it over for both sides and do the same thing, kind of getting these designs almost any direction. They were just all random with the router. Then after I did all that, I took the Dremel through and I added even more designs and cleaned up some of these others to try to make it look like they flowed in a lot better. And then I did the scariest thing ever. I took fire to it. It was pretty scary taking a flame to something that I had taken so much time. Then after I scrape it off, it gets this really cool look to it. So I thought, well, this is going to work. And I just started flaming the whole thing, the whole bottom, burning it as much as I could, as inside, trying to get all of it. It even got the part that it wasn't supposed to get on the side, but that is just gonna sand right off. So, but I burnt this quite a bit. You could see that I really got it down. Now this helped round off a lot of the edges. So here, after I sanded it, I'm gonna go ahead and put some gray in the pictures of it. It was actually like a whitish color, but I got this weathered gray. So what I did is I put it on, and then I took a rag and I almost immediately wiped it, tried to blend it in. After a while, I just started dipping the rag right in. Maybe that would work better, but I kind of like the look of it. And so I went ahead, I did all of that, and then I sanded it off, almost all of it, to get rid of a lot of that look. But you can see that it made those lines really pop on here. And kind of is a little bit darker. Well, it is a lot darker than the one that's shown that Harry Potter is actually writing. Now I'm going to try to make the stands. I saw a lot of different ones for different models of Firebolt. So I went with like the easiest design that I could kind of come up with. And here I'm just, so I kind of already bent one, and then I'm putting this on here, and I'm making the angles kind of match. Then I see where they fit on there, marking it, heating it up. And then gonna bend it as soon as it gets hot. And I want them to kind of match so they fit together. Now I'm going to use this as part of it. So I need a hole on both sides. And then I'm going to drill a hole through the broom itself. And then I sand it, getting rid of all of the burn marks that were on the side of the top part. And here's my favorite part, putting the finish on. This is a mahogany, and it turned out beautiful. Once I got this finish on, I ended up doing about 4 coats of this, and I put it on the top, and then I actually went and I put it on the burn section, which gave it a nice finish so that it didn't get any black on anything, any of the burn stuff. So after I put this on, I did put a lot of coats. Now for the pegs, the foot pedals, and this thing, I'm gonna paint this black. Now I was gonna paint it silver, but my daughter came down and she's like, I really like the black, so we stayed with the black. Now you can see I put a PVC pipe in there, and I can put the foot pegs in here. I didn't show this part for some reason, but I did take some epoxy and I put it inside of that PVC, and then I put the foot pegs in. So here I'm trying to decide how am I going to put this grass in here. So I thought I can run it through like that and then see how they do. But then I thought I don't want to have to, I thought maybe if I cut them and I put a whole bunch on this side, it'll just make it look like it went all the way through. So that's kind of what I did. Now here, if I put this on the end, I'm going to have a big void. So I thought, what am I going to have to do? So I thought if I wrap it around a stick like this and then put the stick in there, it will fill in the void in the middle. So I cut my stick, then I have a whole bunch of these pieces, and I can put them around there. So I didn't show you how I did this, but I just wrapped it around there like that, and I put a zip tie on it. And then I'll put that on the end, and that will kind of fill that void. There's my zip tie. Then I just poured a bunch of glue in it, and I let that dry. Now I'm going back and I'm just putting a whole bunch of these ends on here, gluing them and sticking them in there, trying to get them all about the same length to make it look like they are sticking all the way through this PVC pipe. Then I drill my hole, put some glue on the end of this, and stick it into the end. Now I just start taking some of these just like I did with the sticks, and I only have to go through a little ways here without taking them all the way through. So I just start putting some glue and I just start adding a bunch of them. So some facts about the Firebolt: it has an unbreaking charm, a superb balance and precision. It hovers at a reasonable mounting height when you let go of it. And they say that it goes at least 150 miles per hour. And was made in 1993. So here I just keep adding more glue and more pieces, trying to fill this in. Right, now I have a clamp on there, a hose clamp. I take a piece of metal, and when I tighten up the hose clamp, it will tighten up this piece of metal around here. And I use my pliers there to make sure that it's square or a little bit even on both sides. And then I just put some rivets in here. And I ended up painting that also black. I didn't show that, I just kind of taped it off and painted it black. So here it is. You can see the runes on here, and the top turned out really beautiful. That mahogany is gorgeous wood with the runes on there. And then the bottom part, the foot pegs and the broom part. Then here's the under. Oh yeah, you can kind of see how the burn there, how it looks with when I got the finish on it. You can't even hardly tell that I put the gray on. I ended up wiping that off a little bit too fast maybe, but you can definitely get the idea of it being like a burnt part. I think that turned out really cool. Here's the bottom. Alright, I'll probably end up doing a Nimbus 2000 and a Nimbus 2001 later, but this one was tough. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, give me a subscribe.